Hey, Mame here. And here's what I have after like 2 months of work. Although, it's more like a month of work, if even that. At first, I was just going to finish what I had made and then move on. But I figured that wouldn't really show off what I had made, and I'm lazy. So the initial idea was to make a little found footage horror film, or more like a suspense animation, of a YouTuber Mame exploring an abandoned building. So of course, like any sane person, I blended, modeled, I made a house in Blender. I started out with a rough build and then went for finer detail. This was its own little adventure of learning how to 3D model and its ins and outs of Blender. I was going to use AI to create the textures after I found a plugin that allowed me to put in some prompts and then do such actions. Then came the next part, which was to create the 3D Oni Mame, and whatever I decided was going to be the monster in the horror film, which is where I ran into my first major roadblock. I suck at making characters. So badly that I always get discouraged while starting to make something and exit while not saving. And so yeah, I have nothing to show for it, but trust me, it's probably better that way. However, this whole endeavor was a journey to learn how to create an animated film. So I had an open mind and some ideas on how to achieve my goal. So in here comes MetaHumans and Unreal Engine 5. My original goal was to use UE5 for exterior shots. So using MetaHumans was actually an advantage since it already played well with UE5. Or at least I thought going in. But first, we have to make a character. I logged into the browser thing and used one of the templates. Got it close enough-ish to Mame and then ported it over. But first, I had to actually learn how to use UE5 because while I had a rough idea how to use UE4, I had no idea how to use UE5. So then I had to learn how to use UE5 to its simplest extent, or at least enough to get by. So when it came the 5-hour tutorial, I felt like I was vaguely learning the same idea over and over. The span of 5 hours, it took 10 hours to complete. But it was very helpful, so don't get me wrong. And now comes in the really great part about UE5. When making landscape or creating a setting, it really is like building with Legos. It was way easier to go to their store and download free assets that are already optimized to work well and look good enough to be background pieces. No making trees from scratch or anything like that. I had my scene set, and a few videos later, understood how to use their cutscene maker. Now all I needed to do was drag and drop my MetaHuman, drag and drop a simple walk animation, and then I'd be ready to go, or so I thought. It didn't work at all, which made me really upset, because what's the point of having these really cool high-def realistic characters if I have to do a bunch of weird things just to get it all to work properly? After I finally got the walk animation to work, it was time to start the facial animation capture part. But I ended up getting nowhere. I just wanted to capture the raw data and put it on a facial skeleton, but I couldn't figure it out without having to spend an obscene amount of money or buying an iPhone using the UE5 app, which is cool, but at this point I was out of time. But that's totally cool, because this whole adventure was to see what was possible as a solo indie filmmaker rather than making an actual award-winning film. And I'm past the point in my career where I get hung up on one project anyways. Probably. So yeah, that was my adventure. I guess it's back to 30-part tutorials on how to make anime characters in Blender. Unless some 3D character designer wants to mutually work together for free because I'm broke.